Tonight's edition of In Pit Lane is proudly brought to you by Go-Karts. Go-Karts, experience the thrill. Hall may be only young, but in the world of karting, she's already a veteran. The 14-year-old started Sunday's Junior Max final at Todd Road back in 8th place, but stormed through the field in atrocious conditions to finish a fine third. Brittany is one of a number of young women in karting, and her smooth drive in the wet at VACC Park certainly showed plenty of potential.
We got punted off in the pre-final after starting off pole, and coming from the back to get third was great.
So how long have you been involved in karting?
I started karting when I was 8 years old, so about 6 years ago.
So how did you become involved?
My dad raced karts and sort of found out about it from a friend, and yeah, I thought I enjoyed it, so I started as well.
Carly Anderson has been racing karts since she was 11. Now the Melbourne hairdresser is racing in the highly competitive Clubman Lights division, where she's a regular top 10 competitor.
Dad started us. My brother had a motorbike, and that seemed a bit too dangerous, so Dad put us in go-karts, and yeah, that's where it come from.
So 4 wheels good, 2 wheels evil.
Oh yeah, he was a bit dangerous on 2 wheels, so 4 wheels closer to the ground. Dad was happy with that. Yeah.
So over the years, I mean, you've progressed right through the ranks. She's currently running in Clubman Light, which is, one of the premier classes for karting in Australia, and doing quite well. We recently saw you at the All-Stars, where you were in the top 10. How are you doing this weekend at the City of Melbourne titles?
Not too bad. I got a 5th in the first heat, and then I seized an engine in the second heat, and then the third heat was wet, so I'm not very good in the wet, so that landed me in 22nd, so that's not too good. So 22nd for the finals. We'll see how I go.
While Carly remains in karts, Brittany is hoping to move into even faster machinery sooner rather than later.
Formula V, Formula Ford, and then hopefully overseas or Formula 3. And then my overall goal, Formula 1.
If her performance last Sunday is any indication, the name Brittany Hall might be one to watch out for in the years to come.
And we're back with the big one. Clubman Light never fails to disappoint, and this should be huge with a battle. Dave Serra, of course, the national champion on pole. Lee Nicolo just next to him. They're away in racing. Nicolo has a bit of a look on the inside there, but Dave Serra passes him around the outside, if you don't mind. Oh, there's a bit of a spin, and there's karts going everywhere.
Oh, Michael Bantic very lucky not to go over there.
Yeah, it looks like
all drivers are okay.
Quite a few competitors, unfortunately, have had to call it a day there, but that often happens on the first corner in the bigger fields, and they don't come bigger than Clubman Light. I think there's something like 30-plus competitors in this particular race. Looks like, though, at this stage, Dave Serra, the national champion, out to an early lead, but being stalked by Matthew Hayes. Matty Hayes, of course, very, very competitive and experienced steerer, has been in a variety of chassis, running in a Monaco at the moment. Of course, Dave running in an Arrow chassis. Just behind him, Zeke Edwards, a very sort of a younger gun. And another bit of a look there from Matthew Hayes.
Oh, Hayes very assertive into turn 1. Very good run onto the straight and makes the pass for the lead. As we see, Lee Nicolo still in 4th, and I think you'll find James Serra is making his way through the field after a DNF in one of the heat races. But back in the front, Dave Serra, very aggressive. And that's handed Zeke Edwards the lead.
And a big don't argue from Dave Serra. But what it did is it actually knocked his terminal velocity back a bit, as we see James Serra coming into focus there. He's jumped up into 3rd from pretty much nowhere. But Zeke Edwards benefiting from Dave Serra's aggressive move in the previous...
Absolutely. There goes James again. Now, that's a very assertive move at this part of the track.
Huge.
These guys are doing well over 90 kilometres an hour heading into that double right-hander there, big fella.
And James Serra, who had a DNF earlier, he's really wanting to go to Japan in a big way. Zeke Edwards would feel a target on the back of his helmet big time. Of course, Zeke coming from the Eastern Lions track at Puckapunyal, but no stranger to the circuit at Todd Road here, as we see further battling going on up and down the field, and that was kart number 24, Ian McDougall, making a pass all of his own.
Yeah, it's good job there by Ian. He's a member of the club at Todd Road there.
And of course, while that happened, James Serra, who's won a national championship in this class, managed to sneak past Zeke Edwards and pinch the lead, and it's going to take some work for the other guys to hunt him down. James has driven many a lap around the circuit here at Todd Road, and really he is the quintessential Clubman Light driver. He just knows the tyre, knows the class. He just makes it his own, and it's going to be a hard one for Zeke to get past him, but not impossible.
Yes, and of course, there's a long way to go. 18 laps the journey in this Clubman Light final. With the trip to Japan, I think that's enough hunger if anyone needs to apply the pressure to James.
Nice transfer of weight in James's car up there. And just a little bit of a jump there again to try and liberate a few revs as he climbs up the hill a bit. And Dave Serra starting to hone in on Zeke Edwards' rear bumper as well. And I think that's still Lee Nicolo just astern of him. So Lee, another local driver there from the Todd Road circuit. And it started on the front row, hasn't dropped too far back off the pack, so doing a good job. But it is all James Serra at the moment, and as I say, the mountain very, very high for these guys. It's going to be a lot of work, and in fact, James extending that lead and looking very comfortable in first place. I think he's planning on driving to Japan today.
And that'll be Dave Serra and Matthew Hayes coming together at turn 1 there, Steve.
And not really the spot you want to park your cart at the end of the straight there when the carts are flying by at extremely high speeds. And unfortunately, those guys' races run, and it's very unfortunate. Very good drivers, both of them, but these things happen when you're on the knife edge and racing hard. But James Serra just having a lovely cruise this Sunday drive, and is very, very keen, obviously, to go to Japan. And after what was a very brief retirement, back into the sport in a big way and running in the Arrow chassis. You can see there by the Vision 2, he's actually running a set of magnesium rims and running the new XE28 Arrow chassis, but with the older AX9 plastics. So interesting combination there. But the magnesium rims definitely worth running at this point, because what they tend to do is make grip more gradually, and they don't tend to cook the tyres and go off towards the end of the race. So while the kart is often more slippery to start with, it means that you don't cook your tyres and don't find you sliding about as things wind down.
Certainly does. So James Serra is your leader, and he really is the class of this field by the look of it at the moment. Just a dominant display of smooth driving. That's allowing him to drive away from the rest of the field. As we cut back, you'll see Zeke Edwards still in second position, and I think it might be Adam Hughes that's made his way up to third place.
Now, I think Adam also may have had a DNF and had to run from the back of the field, so a good run for the young Hughesy. But and James, of course, knows Hughesy very well. They were both basically driving on the same team at one stage, and James is now running in an Arrow chassis and has moved into a new sort of focus, but they know each other very well. It's going to be a major job for either Zeke Edwards or Adam Hughes, and it is indeed Adam Hughes there running in the Monaco. It's going to be a major effort for either of those two drivers to catch up to James, and what they would probably have to do is work together and try and nose-to-tail draft and get that little bit of extra speed down the straight. But really, the gap is out to, I think, almost 3 seconds at this stage, so Serra very much in charge, and of course his cousin David out for the rest of the laps in that earlier incident with Matthew Hayes. So really, James just having a casual look over the shoulder, looking very comfortable here, and basically brushing up on his Japanese, I dare say, at this moment inside his helmet.
He certainly is, and you just saw a little bit of footage there. Adam Hughes really well and truly over the back of Zeke Edwards at the moment, so that's where the battle is for the minor positions. Yeah, as we see those two drivers exiting pit corner, heading up the back straight.
Could well snag second there. You can see him leaning over the steering wheel, just trying to. Drivers do that to try and improve the aerodynamic hole that is punched, in the air by the carts, and he's just leaning over the steering wheel to try and make that a bit more efficient. But it's going to be a major job for him to do. He's very close to Zeke Edwards, but really it is all about James Serra, and he's just driving away beautifully from the field here.
And there's the pass for second. Adam Hughes up the inside of Zeke Edwards at turn 1. Now I believe this is the last lap.
So the young guns fighting it out for the minor placings. Hughesy and Edwards, both terrifically exciting drivers to watch, and they might look like they're in different karts, but they're actually both running the same kart. Hughesy running the Monaco, and of course Zeke running the Arrow chassis. Hughesy a bit of a look over his shoulder. He sees he's still got a pretty big job to be done here, unlike James Serra, who's really in charge. Zeke's stalking Hughesy, and it may not be over between these two, but I think it's going to be a terrific win to James Serra in the Clubman Light category, the Premier category. I think he's going to take a very comfortable win, and he looks happy about it, and he'll be off.
And why wouldn't you be? That's a trip to Japan with Adam Hughes taking out second, just ahead of Zeke Edwards.
Want to race your friends at 100 k's an hour in a fun and safe environment?
Then check out kart racing. Karting is a great way to develop road skills. With kids as young as 7 learning in a safe and exciting environment, karting gives you a head start on the road.
Karting is fun and exciting, and I get to race against and beat the boys.
It's a great way to meet new friends, so get involved today.
Visit arrowkarts.com for more details.
Tonight's edition of In Pit Lane is proudly brought to you by Go-Karts. Go-Karts. Experience the thrill.